Our attention span is non-existent. Let me show you. You had an urge to look for something new there, didn't you? See, that was only 3 seconds, and if I got to 10 seconds, there's a heavy chance a good portion of you would have already been gone. It's not our fault that we're this way. By the way, that silence was intentional. It's pure retention psychology. So, fun fact, if you made it this far, you already have a better attention span than 30% of my viewers, so congrats, there's still hope for us. But really, let's go back to where it all started. When a mommy and a daddy love each other very much, they give their kid an iPad and open Pandora's box and throw the child's brain right into it. I've personally found the map out of this box, but when I was in it, the static in my mind was really quite unsettling. I'd try to sleep and I'd lay there for a few minutes, but suddenly I'd pull my phone out. It even got to a point where I'd feel a vibration from my phone when I'm pretty confident there wasn't even one. So simply, we're a generation of digital gamblers. Look at it this way, the mechanics of the mobile device are designed off of addiction patterns, such as slot machines. The email app on your phone, how do you refresh it? You pull the page down and bada boom bada bang, you got an email from a foreign prince giving you your prize. Hopefully not, because that's not the winning role. But the real winners are the split testers. Split testing is a brilliant way for businesses to use data to find out how to make your brain go brr in the most effective way. For example, they will use 2 text fonts and deliver them to a targeted audience, and the data will spit back which one held attention longer. Pretty much they are researching how to hypnotize you. It's the flow state, but destructive. This isn't just fonts though, it's everything. Layout, communication styles, color choices, application icon shapes, and so on. The race to the bottom of reality has started a long time ago, and I hate the term pick me, but unironically, these businesses are the most pick me's out of all time. One of the biggest systematic changes to our capability to use our brains has come recently in 2 separate waves. First was when short form was introduced, and picking the content you choose to watch went extinct. Since it's all algorithm based, the long form videos are the ones that you have a choice on, except it's just a good old curation of the highest dopamine pulse pretty much. So now the second wave is outsourcing our critical thinking to AI. So when you mix only the highest dopamine with no free thought, it's no wonder our brains have gone past their expiration date. This is simple human psychology. Choice fatigue is removed and thinking is removed, leaving you in a constant state of hyper-arousal. But this is where we lose our life. When this extreme state of being becomes your baseline, the second you tap out and have to do real-world things, your brain can't reach that baseline, pretty much granting you the beautiful prize of depression. Did you know having skin actually feels good? I know it sounds strange, but that's because most can no longer feel that goofy, joyful brain chemical we love to call dopamine, since it's had its baseline raised so high that most of us can't feel it from the small things anymore. And the thing that really terrifies me is a lot of this might be permanent. I can't say for certain because I don't like to have that definite belief because I think it's inherently self-destructive, because once you're broken, you can never be fixed, right? And I want to be fixed personally. I don't know about you guys. But our brains developed around this life we have. From a young age, a lot of us are introduced to things that we definitely should have not been seeing when we were young. Adult content, high dopamine content, video games, all the stuff that makes your brain go burr like crazy. And so there is a possibility that our brains developed for this. And that's very, very messed up because our brains may have changed, but the world has not. So let's start off with video games. Video games are designed specifically with males in mind, specifically competitive video games. And I say this for a reason. Males have an idea of, naturally have an idea of competition and status and progression. And what do video games often represent? They give you a rank, their status, right? They give you progression, levels, moving up in the ranks. They give you competition, you're going against another team. Video games often represent the exact thing that you want in life, but through a virtual simulation of it. And so they're taking away your need for a real life. Yeah, just a real life. You don't need a real life when you have video games. And that's very troublesome because it's a false sense of happiness, because I've realized this once. I played Counter-Strike Global Offensive a lot. I hit the top rank in the game. I was so good. I had like 6,000 hours. And when I hit the top rank, I realized something. It didn't matter. It had no value. It's so pointless. I haven't played the game in I don't know how long now. I mean, there's a new one now even. I don't even play that either. So pardon that voice crack loss. I don't know. But the whole point here is that we should really keep in mind that these things are trying to represent real life in the most dopamine-packed way. And that's how they get money off you. That's how they get your attention. And so let's go and move on to the one that I'm going to cover very briefly because I don't really want to cover it too much, but adult content. I'm not going to say exactly what that means, but you know what I'm talking about. From a young age, a lot of us got exposed to this. I would say the majority of guys have been been exposed to it. And it's really bad because naturally, that's the highest dopamine activity in nature. Outside of substances, that's the highest amount of dopamine you'll ever achieve in nature. And we've given that type of access to a level higher than natural to people on a daily, if not multiple times a week basis. And that to a developing brain obviously has to mess it up a little bit. I know it's messed me up. I'm not going to lie. I'm at least aware enough to admit that. And I've quit it a long time ago. So luckily my brain has surprisingly recovered, especially healthily. But there's still a certain element of it that hasn't completely gone away. And it will go away eventually. It takes time. I mean, you do something for so long in your life, you can't expect it to heal so quickly, right? It might take a decade. Who knows? But the point is that you can recover quicker than you imagine. Your brain is very plastic, very rigid, let's say very rigid, but not very rigid, very fluid, right? And so the next thing we should really consider is what we lost from all this. A lot of us lost early years of our life, our childhood, our young adult years. I know I spent a lot of my young adult years playing video games. I mean, not even just my young adult years, even my teenage years, I spent a lot of it playing video games, doing nothing. I had one relationship, I think, in high school, and that was about it. But outside of that, I just played video games, watched videos on YouTube, and watched TV and stuff, And like, what kind of memory is that? I couldn't even tell you anything that happened during that time frame. And the thing that is so deeply parasitic about the young age of introduction to a lot of these things is how hard you get addicted. You have this reward system in your brain, and it hijacks your reward system. And when you develop your brain around this reward circuit, it's like a trench, right? You have this trench, let's just say water flows through it, right? A shallow trench, the water kind of flows through it pretty weakly, right? You deepen that trench a lot, and suddenly the water flows very strongly, and it's hard to make the water flow in any other direction. And that's what happens in your brain pathways. Your brain pathways get so deep and so strong that you become so compulsively addicted to things. And this is all by design. It's like they do this intentionally. They might act like it's not intentional, but like if they really cared, then it would obviously have been fixed by now. Because like a lot of this stuff that's legal should not be. Like there's no logical reason for a lot of this stuff to be legal. And I'm not saying make video games illegal. I'm more so talking about the adult content side. That should be illegal. Simply put, it is prostitution. But since you film it, it no longer is. It's clearly nonsense. And the issue too is that novelty is not really a thing anymore. Life used to be a novel experience. You'd go do things and it'd be new experiences all the time. But now that we've experienced life so much through videos and through the TV, nothing's as novel. If I said, okay, go visit the Grand Canyon, I bet you've already seen photos of it before you go there, right? Nothing unique about that. You've lived it through your eyes already. You just had to live it in person after. I'm sure it's probably better in person, but it's like the same thing still stands. The novelty's taken away. And that same thing goes through intimacy, experiences of travel, experiences of life in general. The novelty is stolen by this technology. And it all reaches to the lowest denominator is the problem. The thing that gets the most attention is the stuff that produces the most chemicals in your brain. And so we will race all the way to the bottom until we are doing things that are ridiculous. That's why you see content that's really weird on YouTube nowadays. It's because it's the race to the bottom. And that's why you see models, quote unquote, what I'm talking about. They're not really models. They're just what I mentioned earlier. But that's why you see stuff like that in the public mainstream. It's really bizarre. And the conditioning and the comparison that it creates is really quite disturbing. For example, here's a really weird example that you probably don't know about. I currently live in the Philippines and I'm white, okay? And I have to say this for a specific reason. They find the white facial features very attractive. Tall nose bridge, light complexion, blonde hair and all that. And they find that very attractive, colored eyes. And they find it attractive because of the social engineering through social media and outside influences such as colonization. And so when your whole perspective is formed by these points of view, it's very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. And it shows how fragile our true self really is, because how true are you to yourself if your perception is completely fueled by what you've seen? And it's really sad because these people have a really, I want to say, inferiority complex because they don't see themselves as equal. And it's really bizarre. They see themselves as lesser because they can never achieve the features that they see as ideal because it's not in their genetics. And they see that as a problem because of that conditioning. This conditioning can lower your self-worth based off of traits that have no real factor in reality. This comparison will destroy you from the inside out. I always thought I was unattractive and stuff like that, but why did I even think that? I think it had a lot to do with the fact that I think I had a time in my life when I was going through this manosphere phase and, getting all that information, it just completely rotted my brain. And obviously now I'm aware that that's not true. Like, it helped me in some ways. I got in good shape and all that, but it's like, I kind of realized that it's nonsensical. It's brainwashing, it's manipulation, it's trying to keep you low. You heard that boom, maybe. That's not a gunshot. I'm not in America. Probably a firework, okay? Anyways, so they try keeping you in this low state of being. They try keeping you low in self-esteem, low in self-worth, because those people who are low in self-worth are willing to be taken advantage of. And people who are being willing to be taken advantage of are the best people in the world because they do exactly what you say, and that's exactly what most people who want control would like to see. And it's to the point where it's actually goofy. We have this performative identity online. I even had to do it myself because I did not want to struggle with authenticity because authenticity is not rewarded as much as you'd believe it to be. On my main channel, I would have all my videos fully scripted out, and when there's a script, it's a performance. It's a given, right? And now I'm more freestyle because I couldn't live like that. I couldn't live with that mask. This performative identity is destructive to you. To live in a false sense of self will erode you because it's not in alignment with what you're supposed to be. And this is where we are nowadays. Everyone is so performative. It's a denial of the self. It's self-hatred. The second you pretend to be something you're not and someone you're not, you are pretty much admitting to self-hatred. I like the makeup example. People get pissed off about this one because it's so normalized, but normalized does not mean normal. Girls wearing makeup. They wear makeup because they are not in favor of how they look without it. They dislike their appearance. That's why they wear it. They might say, oh, but it makes me confident. I wear it for myself. Well, why do you wear it for yourself? To make you feel more confident, make you feel more self-secure, which means you're insecure under the surface, and we cannot paint it any other way because let's be real with ourselves. We need to stop lying to ourselves in the world. And let's not forget how deep we are in the trenches in the status signaling game. People like to signal their status now because of the online presence of status, right? It's goofy. Look at like Counter-Strike is a good game for this as an example. There's camouflages in the game that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for a camouflage in the game. This is how goofy we are. It's a status symbol. People are willing to spend buku buckaroos on this nonsense. We're so immersed into the simulation of nonsense that we think having some good camouflage in a video game will make us somehow respectable, high status. I don't know. I mean, they might say they do it for their own enjoyment, but like no one's spending that much money for their own enjoyment. That's crazy. And so the thing is like if you took someone from back in the day, let's say you take a king from way back in the day, I don't know, 18th century, right? That king would look at us and be like, that standard of living is insane. Running water? I couldn't imagine. Hot water? Oh my gosh, right? Crazy stuff. But the reality is that our standard of living is higher than ever, but we have traded our inner lives for it. Our soul is dying and we are choosing to have that happen in full compliance. And I don't know if it's an awareness thing. I don't know if it's a hopelessness thing, but like you have to be aware of the fact of how deadly this stuff for you is. Like, do you not ever just scroll and feel like garbage after? Is this not something that most people experience? We have the greatest capability for happiness in this modern age, but we are throwing it in the trash. A higher standard of living and we could have a higher quality of life. I mean, imagine it this way, right? How about instead of promoting like hookup culture and stuff like that, we make an AI algorithm to match you with the perfect partner? How about instead of gambling, we put friendly competition and like raise each other up? How about instead of monetize sports, we just all go work out together and play sports? How about instead of parasocially living, we live? And let's not forget, we are humans. Like, we are animals, okay? Like, don't forget that. I know we have brains and, we can scroll on TikTok, but we are animals. And animals have certain things that make them happy. Survival, relationships, and the means to pretty much live a good life. That's what makes an animal happy. An animal is happy when it is safe, housed, basic needs, okay? It's really not that confusing. An animal is not happy when it is overindulged in chemicals like dopamine, and that is what is happening today. Look at the rat experiments. They put rats in a cage, right? And they give them access to dopamine, and they will click the button until they die. They will do it over mating. This is where we're at. The same thing will happen with a common experiment we've all probably heard before, the rat utopia experiment. They pretty much gave rats access to everything they would ever need, and they put them in a compact area, like a city for say, right? Eventually, the rats all went crazy, and the civilization died. And the civilization didn't die in another experiment because of something else. The experiment changed for one thing. They made the environment actually proper for human living. The rat utopia was, let's say it's like New York City, right? The other experiment was like a more rural environment where everything had space and everything had proper planning. Those rats survived and thrived. But when it was the other way around, destruction. And so we need to really keep in mind dynamics of what we really are. We are biology first, and that's something we got to live with because we are not going to evolve. It takes millions of years to evolve. This is what we got, and let's stop playing with it like it's a toy. Our evolution is not something to be tinkered with for the biggest outcome of money.